Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Evolution Podcast. So today, let's say that I have a hot topic to talk about. And before we get into this hot topic, I want to preface all of this with saying, over the past 10 years, I have shied away from ever sharing any type of political opinion in my media, whether that's my YouTube channel, my podcast, Instagram, my films, any of that, because that's not what I make media about. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to help inspire and educate and share my experiences with other people to hopefully inspire you to get out into the outdoors, create something, share it with others, and find something new in yourself. And that's what I've always been about. That being said, if you have followed me for the past 10 years, you'll know that I'm a huge advocate for public lands. I spend a lot of time trying to give back, donate, volunteer my time for public lands organizations, whether it's the National Park Service, the National Forest Service, a lot of different national trail associations like the Arizona Trail, Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail. I'm a large advocate for public lands, and I always will be, because it's where I spend the most of my time. It's where I recreate. It's the thing that brings me joy, the thing that gives me all of this, gives me a platform to talk about and do all of the amazing things that I've done in 10 years. And if you have been watching the news, or hell, if you've been on any social media platform over the last couple of weeks, I'm sure that you've seen the devastating news of 5,000 employees of the National Park Service and National Forest Service losing their jobs. And that's what I want to talk about today. Now, with that being said, I do not want to talk about the political side of it. I have no interest in sharing my political opinions or hearing anyone else's political opinions. This is all about the personal side of it, the public side of it. The fact that right now, more than ever, our public lands, our national parks, our national forests, our national trails, all of that are at higher risk than they have been in a very long time. Now, if you plan on leaving some sort of political comment about your beliefs and getting in an argument in the comments, that's not what I'm here to do. And if that's something you feel like you need to do, this is probably not the video for you. I want to talk about today what we can do as a community in a positive way going forward to make sure that these lands are being taken care of, to make sure that we're good stewards of these lands, of these national scenic trails, of these parks, of these forests, of the places that we spend our time recreating in, that we love so much, that we backpack, hike, bike pack, climb, pack raft, be outdoor enthusiast in. That's the conversation I want to have today. So, with all that being said and all of that out of the way, there's a couple things that I want to do before we get into this conversation. A couple house cleaning items, I guess you can say, that I have on the docket. Number one is, if you just saw the first episode of the Outdoor Evolution Podcast last week on my YouTube channel, if you have not been following the Outdoor Evolution Podcast for 6 years since I started it, I want to kind of clear some things up. First off, it seems like there were a lot of people that had never heard all 33 other episodes that I've ever done in the Outdoor Evolution. So if you're just seeing it on my YouTube channel and you're new to it, here's some things I want to clear up. First off, Outdoor Evolution was my outdoor company, my outdoor media company, and that's what I ended after 6 years. So over the past handful of years, I have started 2 different companies. There's been Outdoor Evolution. I brought props. There's been Outdoor Evolution, and there's been Evolved Supply Co. This was an outdoor media company. This is my outdoor gear company. So what I ended was Outdoor Evolution, not Evolve Supply Co. These are 2 very separate things, hence why they're different logos, why they're different names. To everyone that reached out and left comments and sent me emails that were worried about the state of my gear company, this has nothing to do with my gear company. But thank you for caring and being interested in what I'm doing. I appreciate all of your awesome feedback and positive comments. Now, to everyone else that seemed to have some sort of bad reaction to that video and saying that I was clickbaiting you, I was not clickbaiting anybody. I was simply having a conversation about how I ended something that I've done for 6 years, which was the Outdoor Evolution. And now the Outdoor Evolution is less of a media company, and it's more just become this podcast and the name that I release my films under. So if you were one of the people that were leaving a super negative comment saying this is clickbait, it's not clickbait. You just didn't understand what I was talking about. I do other things outside of just making gear videos on YouTube, and this podcast is one of those things. I just figured I would start sharing this podcast on my YouTube channel to share everything that I do here on my channel. So if you're just here for my gear videos, you might not like my podcast, and that's totally okay. But I just wanted to clear that up so everybody knows that. The second bit of business that I have before jumping into this conversation about public lands is to let all of you know that this year, yet again, I'm going to be doing an awesome backpacking event in June of this year, from June 17th through the 21st, called Highlander Big Bear. I did it last year. It was an awesome backpacking event. Now, I've had a lot of questions, people asking, why would I pay to come on a backpacking trip? Well, it's not just a backpacking trip. I wouldn't pay just to go on a backpacking trip. What Highlander is a big event that you can do. You can either do a 5-day event, a 3-day event, 2-day, or a 1-day event. And it is more of a celebration of backpacking with things like seminars and speaking engagements from people like me, gear shakedowns, different classes to learn how to be a better steward of public lands, to do some exercises and stretching and workouts to make you a stronger hiker, and a lot of other things are included. So it's more of a backpacking festival. So it's not only for people like me that have been backpacking forever and just want to do something new with the community and learn more, but it's a great thing for a lot of people that are just getting into backpacking. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, I will leave a link down in the description box or in the show notes of the audio podcast, and you can sign up to get 20% off of your registration. Again, you can do the 5-day, the 3-day, the 2-day, or the 1-day. Both me and my wife, Snuggles, are going to be there doing the trip, and you can come hike with us, listen to some speaking engagements, hang out, camp. It's a great time, and I had an amazing time last year, and I can't wait to do it again. This year, again, that is June 17th through the 21st, Highlander Big Bear, California. Check out the link in the show notes. All right. Now with all of that out of the way, let's talk about what this whole episode is about, and that is our public lands and the recent defunding of some of these agencies. Again, if you've been following along, if you've seen what's happening, a lot of forest rangers and national park rangers lost their job over the last couple of weeks. So what does that mean? Again, despite the side, whatever side of the political fence that you're on, what this means for people, what this means for you and me, people that use these public lands, people that go and camp and hike and bike pack and do all these things on public lands, that means there are less people taking care of and maintaining these lands. That means less people picking up trash, less people emptying trash cans and toilets at trailheads, less people maintaining these trailheads with updates on closures and permits, less people out on the trail cleaning up, cutting down trees, clearing debris off the trail. So this does massively impact the people that use the trails, which is a terrible thing. You know, again, despite how you feel about the cuts and people losing their job, I personally had some friends that work for the National Park Service and the Forest Service that lost their job, and to me, that's devastating for them. Horrible to hear anybody losing their job, especially something as passionate as being a forest or park ranger. But what can we do? What can we do as a community of backpackers and hikers to help protect and maintain these places? That's what I want to talk about today. So first off, like I said, the thing that I have always been a big advocate of is getting involved, stepping up and helping out on public lands, volunteering for your local trail association, going out and picking up trash on a local trail or in a national park or in a national forest. It's reporting things that you see. Say you see some graffiti or you see somebody trashing a campsite. It's simply reporting those things to these agencies and nonprofit organizations that help to maintain these lands. Now, I'm going to be leaving a bunch of links down below to some different organizations that I've worked with and that I highly suggest getting involved with. And one of those organizations that I think is a great way to get started on helping to preserve public lands and take care of these lands is my buddy Benny's organization, Responsible Stewardship. If you've listened to the podcast, we did an episode years ago called The Gatekeeper. Awesome episode, but he started an organization called Responsible Stewardship, where he's trying to encourage people to get out and actually pick up and clean their public lands, take action themselves versus expecting these agencies to take care or to take action. Just this year alone, Responsible Stewardship, just this year, so that's a month and a half, has picked up 1,536 pounds of trash on public lands. Now, keep in mind that Responsible Stewardship is based in the Eastern Tennessee, North Carolina area. So that's just there in just a month and a half. Imagine how much trash and litter is scattered throughout public lands and forests and parks, on trails throughout the entire country. So there's a lot of trash and litter that needs to be picked up. So I highly suggest getting on responsiblestewardship.org and learning a little bit. There's some great educational material on there to teach you how to be a responsible steward and to kind of educate and show you how you can pitch in. Now, whether you do something like get involved with them and join one of their cleanups, or you start one of your own cleanups, or you just simply, while you're out on a weekend hike or a backpacking trip, you start picking up trash when you see it. This is something that I always do. When I go out and I'm on a backpacking trip or just a day hike, I will always carry a small bag with me. A lot of times it's just a Ziploc bag. And if I see something, I pick it up, whether it's a wrapper, a cap, a bottle. The thing that I hate the most, which are those little stupid bags of dog poo that people leave as they're hiking. Ugh, drives me nuts. I'll always pick those up on my way back to my car. I'll just pick them up, throw them in my trunk, and then throw them away when I get home in my trash can. So these are simple things that you can do in order to get to become involved with protecting these public lands. Another great organization that is up and coming is my buddy Nick Page, amazing photographer. Again, he's been here on the podcast before. Nick has started a organization, or he's starting an organization called Nature Stewards Network. He's building a new website right now, but he is also trying to get people together to organize cleanups in these national parks, in these national forests, in these national wilderness areas, on these public lands. So if you want to get involved, go to his website, nickpagephotography.com. I'll put it here on the screen and down below. Reach out and send Nick an email and find out how you can get involved. Nick is based a little out here where I'm at. So if you are not in the East Tennessee on the East Coast area, want to get involved in something out here, Nick would be a great person to reach out to. And I'm hoping to see his website get up soon. Now, the next thing that we can do as stewards of public lands, of users of public lands, of hikers and backpackers, is simply by educating ourselves so we can help educate others. It's learning good leave no trace principles. It's knowing to pick up trash. It's knowing when to report things, when to help out and pitch in on public lands, when to go out if you see a downed tree and you have the ability to saw the tree and cut it and remove it from the trail, or move debris from the trail and clean up the trail. Doing that and then teaching and educating others to do the same. Showing people that it's a positive thing to pick up trash. If you see somebody accidentally drop trash while they're on a hike, or if you see them do it on purpose, not being mad, not being angry with the person, but simply saying something like, hey man, I noticed that you just threw that bottle down. Like, right now, these national forests and these national parks and these national trails, don't have as many people to come out and pick up this trash. Like, in order to keep this place clean so we can all use it and keep it happy, like, we got to pick up our own trash. And just helping to positively inspire and educate people is a great thing to do. The next thing that you can do is get involved with some organizations that help fund and back up these public land organizations. So there's a lot of great nonprofit organizations that help support things like the national forests and the national parks. A great company that I've been able to work with over the past year is the National Forest Foundation. They are a separate entity, but they do a lot to help preserve and protect and raise money for the National Forest Service. So simply reaching out to an organization like that to see if you can volunteer, donate, do something to help support and make sure there's not as heavy as an impact on your local public lands. Again, I'll leave some links down below. The next thing that I would highly suggest doing is something that sounds so cliche. And again, politics aside, folks, reach out to your local representatives. Reach out to your congressperson. Let them know that you want to see more funding in national parks and national forests. Let them know that this is important to you, and that's where you want to see your tax dollars go. I've spent a lot of time over the past 2 weeks sending out a lot of emails to different representatives here in my state of Arizona and some other places, letting them know that that's what I want to see. Signing petitions to help fund these places. There's a great petition going on right now for the National Park Service. Again, I'll leave that down below that you can click, sign up, and just let your voice be heard and let Congress know, let states know, let the government know that you want your tax dollars to go to these places that you use, that you love. Again, who I'm talking to here, I think are the same people that believe the same thing I think and love these places, want to see them preserved and protected for future generations. Want to be able to go out on a backpacking trip or a hike and not have to see a bunch of trash, be able to show up to a campsite and it not be completely littered and there be a bunch of trash in a fire pit. That want to go to a trailhead or a beautiful vista or an overlook and not see a bunch of graffiti on rocks. These are the things that are at high danger right now because there are less people out there that are there to protect these parks and these forests and these trails. So it's up to us to step up and take care of these natural places. And then let your voice be heard. Let whoever's in charge know that we want to fund these places, that we want to spend money on these places to make sure they're there for us and for future generations. Guys, that's pretty much all I have for you this week. Pretty short podcast, but I always feel compelled to say something when I see things like this happening to the thing that has inspired me to live the life that I've lived over the last 10 years, the thing that's given me so much, the thing that I've called home more than my own home here in Arizona or back in Indiana. I've spent more time in national forests and national parks than I've spent in my own home in the last 10 years. And I want to protect my home. I want to protect the places that I love, the places that I spend my time, the places that inspire me so I can inspire other people. And I hope that you feel the same. If you're watching this channel, if you're subscribed to me, if you're listening to this podcast, hopefully you feel the same. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think that we can do as a people, as a community, as hikers and backpackers and outdoor recreation nerds to take care of these places? What can we do to step up? How can we organize cleanups? How can we let our voices be heard? Again, please shy away from any type of political conversation. That's not what this is for. I don't want there to be negative comments here on the channel or on the podcast. I want this to be a positive discussion of what we can do as people to step up and take care of these lands. So if you have one of those thoughts, if it's something positive, leave it down below. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching here on YouTube. I'm just kind of getting in the groove of putting the podcast here on YouTube. If you liked this episode, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, leave it a rating or review wherever you're listening, whether it's Apple or Spotify or whatever. Show some support for the podcast because I love doing these and my plan is to continue doing these as much as I possibly can. All right, let's all step up and take care of these amazing places that we love.